We are just trying to think.
We are just trying to think. Greetings, welcome. My name is Leah, and this is Just Trying to Think, episode 1. And we are talking about transgenderism, and I have here with me...
Bonatsego Kutumela.
Yeah, and we are just two people in a moment in time, basically talking on something that we see maybe on our algorithms or we hear about in the, in the people in the communities that we know of and we exist in. And so today I really wanted to talk about the very popular woke culture topic that is trending in the world, really, transgenderism. So, how do we feel about it, Panata?
I feel like it's the next step to evolution. It's humanity's forwardness.
Humanity's forwardness.
Yes.
As in, you believe that again, because I know there's this thing, there's this thing of transgenderism and gender non-conforming and non-binary being like the people that are going to kill gender as a whole, like eliminate it, because that is what they're trying to do, right?
And I think that's the problem. I think anything that will forward humanity will be attacked, will be taken hostage by the oppressor, by the man, for lack of a better word. They made it. They made a spiritual and natural occurrence something that attacks other spiritual and natural occurrences. So people hate the evolution that it comes with. Evolution does not mean an attack in what's already there. So they're putting all these, evil things, the pedophilia, the thingy, in something that is pure. So they attack it. They've done it and natural. They've done it with art. They've done it with hip hop. They've done it with rock and visual arts. They keep doing it. They're taking the next step of humanity and they're making it such an evil thing, a propaganda machine for people to hate it, because people will start hating. We don't know how far this thing stretches back. So many ancient cultures has had two spirits, people with both the male.
But I don't know if we can call it transgenderism. And I only say that because transgenderism, in terms of its definition, this is somebody who has gender dysphoria or body dysmorphia, right? These are people who do not correlate with the person, with the biological person they were born into. Okay. Which I don't know if we can say that's what was happening with ancient cultures of two spirits and so on. We don't know if they actually hated being the person that they were born into, or they just felt like they had an additional person that existed within them, hence making them two spirit. With transgenders, they don't feel like they're two spirits. They feel like they are this particular thing, this particular person, and that particular person just happens to be the opposite of what they were born into. So I don't know if we can even use that kind of example. In fact, in my opinion, we can't use that kind of example. And it just goes completely against the definition.
And I think that's just programming.
Programming?
I think what happened was that the education that we have, the education that has gender roles assigned to biological gender and things like that, made people have a certain definition of what a woman is and what a man is. So when a person is transgender, I believe, and is two-spirit, and
but we can't say that's two-spirit.
Hear me out. If a person has this doctrine all their life, that this is the expression of two genders, that this is how a male is and this is how a female is, and they look in themselves in the mirror and then they feel like, oh, okay, I'm a female, based on the doctrine the definition of what a female is. We don't know if they were taught at an early age that a person can express themselves as a male while biologically female, how it was gonna turn out.
But still, I don't see that as two spirits. People that I can say maybe delve into the two-spirit world are gender non-conforming people or non-binary people.
I think
or literally, because I know the LGBTQ acronym has two spirits somewhere in it. Like, literally, there's a whole place for them. And I don't think transgender people fit into that. Like, transgender people are people with body dysphoria. I mean, gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia, probably.
I think for the
And these are people who want to transition from one sex to another. Because then, if they existed in two-spirit form, none of them would see the point of transitioning. Because then they can express themselves as one gender while biologically being born as a different gender.
I think for the fact that they were born in this biological gender and their expression and their feeling is, well, they feel like is of the other gender is enough proof, well, for me, to say that they are two-spirit. It's just that the doctrine that we have been in for all our lives makes them want to be. I feel like they're in this spectrum of their gender. You know, if they're male, if they're biological male, they're in the spectrum of what a male is what a male is. But that spectrum is not taught. That version of a male that wants or is closer to being a female is not taught, and they don't know what it is, so they jump to the extreme, which is a body change, a biological change, if that's possible, if that's even possible. Am I making sense?
You're making sense. I just don't agree. I don't agree because right now I want to refer to transgenderism as a core concept. You know, the whole pure form of transgenderism, right? Not, I think, the propaganda that exists, transgenderism in the days no. There is a similar pattern that I see with people who detransitioned, right? They all have a story of, well, a lot of them have a story of sexual assault, and then normally after vele they don't feel comfortable in their own body. They almost feel unclean and like, okay, this is not them, right? Because somehow they're still associating their body with what happened to them. And so they go out they go out to seek help, and they're going to find a mental health professional that's going to be like, well, what you're experiencing is gender dysphoria or body dysmorphia, or, you know, something along the lines that leads them to transgenderism instead of let's fix what happened. Like, let's try to help you heal from what happened, which in the beginning was what was said to be the normal steps to someone going into medical transitioning. Like, before you even touch any medicine, at first what they explained to us as a society was that you get checked by mental health professionals, and we identify if really you need to be transitioned into a different sex, if that's what you want in terms of surgery and medicine, or you can just cross-dress. I don't know, but my point is that we were told that there was a whole procedure where you get checked out and we see if we can fix the issues instead of medically transitioning you, because those are things you can't take back. Those are things that sterilize you. Those are things that ruin your body forever.
The two events are not mutually exclusive. Just because there's been a lot of detransition and detransitioners whose root cause of transitioning was trauma, doesn't mean yes, there's problems with that. That's my problem. I feel like everything is being too extreme.
Yes.
I feel like people, okay, a person is going through trauma and then they tell them that, okay, it's body dysphoria and then they need to transition. Too extreme.
Too extreme.
Right? Saying that there's a transgender agenda, which might be there, is too extreme because the existence of that kind of being who wants to transition is a real thing.
Yes.
It's
But I don't think people are saying that transgenderism is not real. But we are saying, well, what I'm saying is that there are people who came into the whole show, took transgenderism and created a whole agenda to it.
Exactly.
Right? But pushed the agenda with using transgenderism. And that's where the problem is. Because it's a very painful thing for someone to feel disconnected or disgusted in their own body that they were born into. Like, that needs some serious help.
Exactly.
For someone to question their gender, I think that's someone that needs serious help.
No, I think in some instances
you can't
it's not
call,
a question. It's not a question of gender. No, I think in some instances a person is not questioning their gender. They're questioning what they're taught that gender is in a very spiritual level. Because if a person is not just a male, biologically, yes, they may have the private parts, they may have everything, but if a person is not just a male biologically and is something else spiritually, they will question it. The problem is that when the questions come, they're quick to say, oh no, something is wrong with you, gender dysphoria. They're not saying, no, you're a person that exists
on a spectrum.
You're a person that exists in not just this
person body that you were born into.
You understand? You're not just this person. So when the person is going through that spiritually, because I believe it starts spiritually, a person will question that gender spiritually to say that, oh no, I am not a male. And that's the problem, to say I am not a male, because now everything is so extreme. It's always female, male. That person who says I am not a male, or who starts, I don't think they question themselves to start and say, okay, I am not a male. They start questioning what they are, because they have all these elements of what they see in the roles of a female.
What I have a problem with the questioning is that, because literally in the acronym, I think there's two Qs. In the LGBT gang acronym, I think there's two Qs. One is for queer and one is for questioning. You made questioning an entire identity.
It is, because I feel like questioning.
But I think no. But there's a difference. There's a difference between someone asking you, what are you, right? Are you a man? Are you a woman? Like, if someone came to you and curiously asked you, what are you? And if you're a man or woman, and you were like, I don't know, I'm not sure. That's one thing for me. You making questioning an entire identity takes, from how I see it, takes you away from actually finding out who you are or what you are.
I don't think,
and because you've taken your confusion and made it
an identity.
The thing.
No, that's
you made it the thing.
Exactly. Why do we want?
But the whole point is not for you to be confused. The whole point is for you to know.
We don't know what the point.
Who you are or where you stand, or at least some kind of idea of where or who you are.
No, that's the problem. We think that we exist in this life, all of us, to know what we are. We think we exist here. We are here to know what we are.
Find solutions to life.
No, sometimes the experience of life, all that is life, is just a question. Sometimes some people's experience out there, their whole life, their experience of life. We're not here to have the same experience. We're not a hive. We are different. We're infinite personality. We're so many different people. Sometimes a person's identity, their experience, is to just be a question. What am I here? And then they live their whole life in
trying to answer the question.
Not even trying to answer the question, but the question itself is a statement, is the experience, the question. They are the question. Sometimes a statement is just a question. it's rhetoric. There's no answer. There's nothing about it but the question. You understand? It's their being is just by being a question.
Fine.
So where's that's what I mean. Like there's so much in the spectrum of being, and it's not taught, because we want to limit everyone to the experience that we think is life, that we think is
Okay.
is humanity.
Fine, I hear you, but we have to draw a line, right? No, not for them. We don't have to draw a line for them and how they express themselves, how they see themselves and all that. We don't have to draw a line for them. We have to draw a line for them involving us, the rest of the world, in whatever's going on with them personally. Yes, fine. Make your identity questioning, be a wolf, be coffee, be a fairy. Fine, that's fine. But I don't want you to pull me into whatever you are doing with your life.
Are you not pulling them into what you are doing in your life?
Which is what?
What do you mean?
Which is what? Because with them, they expect us to, one, change how we speak, which on some level I'm okay with, but I think that they go way too extreme.
Yes, there's too many extremities.
Way too far.
But in terms of what we speak, we've been changed how we speak for years.
Yes, we have. That's why on some level I'm okay with it. We can have like an extra two pronouns, right? That's men, woman. I mean, that's she, her, he, them, they, them, right? I mean, he, his. Yes, we can have they, them, and like maybe an extra one. But like, I don't see why only the Z's, the V's, the fairies, the wolf self, fairy self, coffee self. What? No, because I mean, in terms of everyday interaction with people, right? In terms of everyday interaction with people, the first thing is that you see someone, right? And you make a judgment call based on what you see. We can call it shallow, but it's how we operate. It's just the basic operation thingy of humans, right? So when somebody is going to expect me to call him a coffee self, you're not coffee.
You feel like it's taking your freedom away.
You're not coffee.
It's you feel like it's taking your freedom away. They're
involving me too deep in what they are doing.
Yeah, and
I do not want to spend that much time and that much energy deciphering who you are, what you are, before I even say anything to you, so that I do not offend you.
Okay.
No. That's the king. That's why we have men, we have women.
Okay.
In terms of categories, and they're very clear in terms of physical appearance.
Because they're based on what, physical appearance or biology?
Mostly they're based on physical appearance. Physical appearance is like biology. But well, in terms of there are transgender people who look like they were born a particular gender.
And that one you won't mind calling, because the first thing that you see is a woman. Is a woman.
Yeah, because one of there's this transgender woman on YouTube, Blair White, I think. Yeah. She said that she transitioned into being a woman because she wanted to fit into society. She didn't want someone to meet her and ask her, are you a man or are you a woman?
Okay.
She transitioned so that you clearly know who she is. You do not ask her. You just assume woman.
Under the do you understand? It's under this guise and this doctrine of how a person should look. Because you just said right now physical appearance.
I'm saying there are characteristics that came with nature that no one chose.
Exactly.
Right? Men have penises, women have vaginas and breasts. Right?
Exactly.
Physically, facially, women look a particular way, men look a particular way.
Okay.
Those came with nature. We did not choose that. Society did not create. We say
we don't know. We don't know that.
What I can say, maybe we created was categories, because we noticed there's these things that are there for most of this population, and then there are these characteristics that exist for the other population, right? Which is fine, and we were like men, women, fine, but nature came up with those characteristics. Blair White when she transitioned into being a woman, she didn't want society to question who she is in terms of gender. She wanted someone, when they meet her on the street, to be like, oh, a woman.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
Okay.
I want to meet someone, and if I see woman, can I call you woman?
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So there are people who play on this androgynous spectrum of being, right? And I think the they/them pronoun fits them well. And the only reason I'd say they/them fits them well is because they/them is androgynous.
So what about coffee and a fairy?
Coffee and fairy can be coffee and fairy to the people that want to participate in their personal lives. But now I don't see coffee.
Okay.
When I say coffee, I see Nescafe in a bottle.
Okay.
I don't see a person as coffee. I'm not gonna call you it.
It. You're not gonna call. So you want this person to participate in your definition?
It's not my definition. It's a definition that we have.
It's somebody else's definition. It's
not necessarily somebody else's definition.
So society, unfortunately, the society that we are in right now was decided by a group of people somewhere. Four people who I'm not saying it was four people.
People did not decide that women now have breasts. They did not decide that women now have breasts.
We don't know what happened when a woman appeared.
Oh my God!
We're
going to go into this whole philosophy.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened when a man appeared.
No, we're not gonna go that far.
For all we know,
then we're going to end up
For all we know. When evolution happened, if evolution was real...
Do you understand? I was going to say that you're going to say we were a fish or a snail and then we whoa.
We don't know. I'm saying maybe the fish were like, yo, this
won't end.
That's what I'm saying. It won't end.
We're not infinite personality. No, Bona, I didn't say that.
As people, we're infinite personality. And if you're saying this person... I'm not gonna call you a fairy because you're not a fairy.
Look like a fairy, I'll call you like a fairy.
How does a fairy look like?
Exactly.
But that's what I'm saying.
Right now, you have the characteristics of a woman.
No, you have the characteristics of a fairy. On whose basis?
No. On the basis of society.
Society was decided by four people somewhere who said we're oppressing the world, and then the world was gonna use a money system and a gold system and a mineral.
But we're not talking about money and gold systems yet.
Get what I'm saying? I'm saying society is, especially right now, is something that was the way it is something.
Yes,
unfortunately,
society and the systems in society and how we define and look at things. Yes.
It was decided by four people somewhere.
Breasts grow out of someone. They grow out of someone.
Yes.
Nobody said somewhere.
What someone?
And they were
but my point is that
breasts grow out of women now, and then
but what's
breasts
someone?
that are growing out of women.
For all we know, breasts grow on women. And grow on fairies, and grow on coffee, and grow...
Well, shame! We don't know fairies and coffee and wolf cells.
You know a fairy?
No, we don't know.
Person just came and said I'm a fairy.
We don't know fucking fairy. A fairy first of all. What we know about a fairy is that somebody came up with this character called a fairy. Because this person has never showed us a fairy. No, never seen a
person just came.
But it's the same way I've never met a scientist. I've never met a fucking fairy. So when they tell me on the news that this expert scientist, I've never met a scientist.
Now we have to censor
because I'm not going to believe you.
She saw, and now we have to censor.
What? No, we don't have to censor.
Anyway, check it out. If God comes right now.
Oh my God, this is not a philosophy debate.
Look.
Of how the world started.
If I come right now, and I say, I am God, you will not believe me.
Why would we?
You will not believe me.
Why would we?
Because you have this definition of what God is. This guy is coming to you and he says, look, I'm the irony guy, but anyway, he says he's a fairy. You have never seen a fairy. You don't know what a fairy is.
Yes.
You don't know what God is.
Yes.
And if I say I'm God now.
But I know what a woman is. I know what a woman looks like.
You're basing
I know what a woman looks like.
You're basing on what you know elements that a woman contains.
Yes.
You don't know if a fairy doesn't have breasts.
No, we don't know.
You don't know if a fairy doesn't have
Okay,
you know,
first
a
of all, let's
woman's
start here.
cheekbones
Okay,
or
let's start here first. Let's start here first. When this person decided they are fairy, which fairy definition were they using? Were they using Tinkerbell?
They were not using Tinkerbell. They were watching themselves in the mirror and then they were like, I'm a
highly
fairy.
fucking doubt it. I highly doubt it. No, what is V? But
things are not mutually exclusive.
People who have pronouns like V and Z and whatever.
They got them somewhere.
I don't know where they got them. From those ones I can say, or possibly they may have an original origin, right? I can say that. Fairy fucking no. There's no person who defines themselves as fairy and somehow has a whole other definition that they did not find from a book or a movie or a fairy tale or whatever that had a fairy in it, and they were like, oh yeah, I'm fairy.
So what?
I'm whimsy. I'm blah,
so
blah,
what?
blah.
So what? This
You're not
this
a tiny little thing that can
that's
fly.
one definition. We've seen a lot of fairies that are tall, and that's one definition of a fairy. My point is that even if a fairy is a person's creation, who said a person can't create an identity?
No one said a person can create an identity. Do not involve me.
What?
I'm not.
You're trying to involve them. You're trying to involve them in society's creation. You're trying to involve them in society's creation.
We have to have a basic level of understanding with each other.
Exactly, and it should always grow because there's infinite personality.
No, I'm not saying it shouldn't grow.
Yes.
But there's a difference between growth as a society and growth that somehow involves just one person. For all we know, this one person
is society.
No.
That's my thing.
No,
like,
listen.
It doesn't need 5 people.
Listen. It's king. We can't now create. We can't now make everyone uncomfortable because this one person wants to be called fairy.
Pause.
Why?
Unpause.
I don't see why we have to participate in someone's fairy tale. On a personal level.
Because they're participating in society's fairy tale. It's as simple as that.
Society's fairy tale is, well, on paper should be something that on a basic level covers everyone.
Half of the things that society brings, we don't agree. We don't agree.
That's what I say on paper.
Like majority of what society is, people don't agree with. We're just born into it.
Can you live with it?
We are forced to live.
Because I'm saying
we're forced to live with it.
But I'm saying, Mori, it's trying to live the whole.
But they can't live with it.
It's the same. It's the same thing as the whole abortion debate, right? People from pro-life think that somehow being pro-choice is against life. No one it's too extreme. No one in pro-choice wants abortions to exist. But we are saying that there are circumstances that do exist that make abortion the only option for people.
There are circumstances that's another topic. But there are circumstances that exist that force these people. I can't imagine. Well, I can imagine. Let me say I can. It's just that's what I'm saying. We are forced to live with it. But I can imagine a person being born in the society and says, I don't fit in anywhere. And then when they try, yes, as I said, as you said too, that there's people who are checking this thing and using it to eliminate already existing
natural occurrences.
Yes, that's wrong. But this fairy is in the society, and they're a fairy, but people are saying, oh no, you're crazy and you have a mental illness. Like they know what existence is, what being is, what being a fairy is. So I can imagine how miserable it could be to be a fairy and nobody
acknowledging it.
And nobody acknowledging it on the basis that fairies don't exist. You know, this is society. We have a basis of what society is. We agree on a lot of things, and we don't agree that there's a fairy. Like, really? Is that even enough?
But that's not what I'm saying. Well, I hope that's not how I've been coming across.
That's how it's been coming across.
I'm not saying I dispute someone feeling a particular way.
You're saying it's a mental illness.
No, I'm not saying it's a mental illness either, unless it is. For some people, it's a mental illness, and I think they go way too extreme with that thingy, right? And some of them can get into this thing thinking that it's going to solve all their problems when it just makes them worse.
Okay.
Fairy can exist. I'm not saying fairy shouldn't exist. I'm saying when I see fairy, and fairy has the characteristics of what I know to be a woman or a man, I'm going to, at first, especially at first meeting, I'm going to assume man or woman. Yes, you may have glitter, you may have, wings and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'll ask you what those are.
Yes.
Maybe I'll ask you why you're wearing fairy wings.
Because I'm a fairy.
Yes, and when they say because I'm a fairy, great.
Good. And then you won't mind calling them that, right?
Well, yes. If I'm in your life, yes, I'll call you fairy. If I'm in your life, I'll call you fairy.
You're in their life.
No, it's a stranger. It's moved on. I don't have to. I mean, we've moved on. After that first meeting, you and I we don't know each other.
Yeah, for that first meeting. First meeting, I'm
never gonna see you again.
Yeah, but for that first meeting, for that 5 minutes and 10 minutes, 1 minute, you are in each other's lives,
and I'll call them fairy.
You understand? That's my thing. That's the thing.
But the thing is, well, the transgender agenda at the moment is that they cancel people. They get so highly offended. They're so insanely sensitive when somebody misgenders them, right? I mean, there are certain instances like with medical procedures or with the police where they're not gonna use fairy. They have to use biological.
Exactly.
Biological gender.
Because biology exists.
Because biology exists. Now it can, and this reminds me of the incident that happened, the school shooting in America, where this transgender person was the perpetrator, right? He shot a lot of kids in the school. And the biggest problem the transgender community had was that the police misgendered them.
Exactly.
And I was just shocked.
Yes.
Like, this person just killed people. Your problem is that we call them by their biological gender.
And the problem is that they are also claiming that person as part of the community, when it was just a crazy person, a psycho who's killing people. That has nothing to do. It
has nothing to do with transgenderism.
Exactly, and I feel like a community that is involving themselves in a school shooting and claiming this shooter is probably people who are the agenda. I don't think that a transgender person is part of that community. I feel like those are the oppressors. That's the men. That those are the people that wants to take what is happening to people, real things that are happening to people, an expression of identity, an evolution of identity, a lot of things that are happening with people, and are taking this because probably it's the next step, as I said, to the growth of humanity, and just mixing it with such evil. Yes, there are people who will fall victim, but that's the whole point. There are people who will adopt this mentality, who are part of the community, and say that this is wrong, this is that, based on the agendas of the propaganda of the oppressed, of the oppression. So I really think that the transgender community, the people who are going through this for real, are not the ones who are trying to eliminate everything. Are not the ones who are competing in women's sport or whatever.
Same way I don't believe people that identify as fairies or as coffees are transgender. I don't believe that you can be transgender and call yourself a fairy. People who the whole definition for me with transgender is that you were born into a particular gender and you want to transition to the opposite gender. That's transgender.
Which you cannot.
That's
some level.
On some level, yes, but on in appearance you can, and
in expression.
In expression as well. that's the pure definition for transgender for me. The moment you're a fairy, you are coffee, you are whatever that's not in the binary of men and women, you are something else. Whether you're gender non-conforming, you're non-binary, you are questioning whatever
So these fairies and coffees, do they
I don't count
do,
them as transgender.
Okay, do they feel? Because firstly, I want to understand if a person calls themselves a fairy. Is this thing recording? Oh, it's recording. Anyway, firstly, this fairy. Is this fairy a gender? If this fairy is a gender, we need a fairy and a coffee to understand this. But if this fairy is a gender, then they do fall under the transgender category. Yes,
okay,
not biological gender.
Let me clarify then. Then let me.
I can't hear it from you. No. I'll hear it from a fairy.
No. Let me clarify what I mean, but what I understand about transgenderism and how I define it, how it makes sense to me. Transgenderism to me is person who is born into a particular gender, biological gender, and wants to transition to another gender that exists on a biological level. For example, in fact it's not even an example, it's men and women.
Okay, I can.
Right now, what we know biologically is that men and women exist.
I can bet you if
that a fairy has a biology of a woman.
No, I can
maybe.
That's not. A similar biology of a woman. I can bet you that if they do more scientific research on this fairy, they will find something. I'm not a scientist. But I bet you that they will find something in this being, in this in this entity, in this human, that separates their biology, their sexual biology from men and women.
Well, that would need more fairies to exist. That would need more fairies to exist.
Exactly.
So that we have a basis of normal.
I don't even know if they've done this, or they just assumed, it's a fairy because they call themselves a fairy. You maybe try not to call them a fairy, and then just try to research them scientifically and name them maybe something. They named. I understand that. I'm saying maybe they name themselves fairy because they feel something that is their biology. Biologically, that is gender. That is gender. That has the I don't know, the similarities or the congruency of gender. Of gender in them. And maybe the research is not done, and maybe they name themselves fairy, and maybe if we do the research, we'll find out. A fairy is a real gender, and this gender has elements of womanhood. Oh, this gender has elements of manhood, but there's something different. We don't know what it is, but it's a fairy.
But hence I'm saying we would need a lot more fairies to exist. Because right now, on a biological level, men and women are very different. Every cell in a human body, besides cells that don't have a nucleus, are stamped with the gender. And they work very different. It matters that you are a man. It matters that you are a woman.
Exactly.
So
it doesn't eliminate that.
We need to find more fairies for us to be like, okay,
I understand that we need to find more fairies.
It can't just be one person. The reason why it can't just be one person is that because it can be.
But because
whatever's different about you can just be an individual thing and not necessarily a gender. Because then I think a gender would have to exist on multiple beings for us to be
I don't think so.
And by the way, even if we find something different about them, how do we know it's gender? How do we know it's
it has to have, that's why I said it has to have like a congruency to say, okay, just like they see, a bitch, that's not a swear word. A bitch is a female dog, and there's this male dog, and all these other different species on Earth. They can see, okay, this one is a male, this one is a female. I don't know how what's the scientific process to find out to find out what a womb man or a man is.
Yeah.
I don't know the scientific process. But I'm saying, we don't know what this individual, this one person in front of this whole world, we don't know what he is, or what she is, or what they or what they are. And
but this could also be just a social contagion. I'm just saying.
It could be, but we don't know.
It could literally just be a social contagion.
But we don't
like
know,
and we know.
Ticks.
The owner of this one you know was just
one day.
The disgust.
We'll talk about that. but. No. Wow. One day maybe we'll find out. One day we'll find out, maybe. But I feel like one person is enough.
One person who says I'm a fairy is enough for us to be like, okay, there's a person who said that they're a fairy.
Yeah.
For us to delve in terms of research and we find something, it would have to be something drastically different. For us to be like, okay, maybe there's a possibility that fairies exist when it's just one person.
But I feel like when people come forward and say all these things, I think more research should be done first. Don't just assume they're trying to take your place. And yes, there are those who are trying to take the place, but don't just assume that they're trying to take your place. There's this fairy that exists on Earth. We want them to exist on Earth. We want dragons to exist on Earth. We want all these things. We don't
obsessed with fantasy.
We're obsessed with fantasy, and there's this fairy coming along, and we're trying to eradicate this fairy, trying to eradicate mermaids. So
like the mermaid thing.
Wait. Okay, we're talking about different things. Just basically, I think. Okay, wait. Let us not be so extreme.
Woke culture can be very extreme, especially when it comes to canceling people. Because right now we are everybody is in a whirlwind of I do not relate to the LGBT, I do not relate to transgenders right now because they are speaking about things that just are way too far from where I am. Do you understand? So
at one point I was not a human, I was an animal from Africa. If you like this episode, like and subscribe, comment if you have some thoughts. Just trying to think.
Thank you for watching this episode. Please tell me how you define transgenderism, because clearly we are not in the same place and on the same page with a lot of people that are trying to hijack the whole transgender definition. And let me know what you think a woman is and what you think a man is, because unfortunately there are people trying to take over those categories as well. Wow. But yeah, have a great one. Like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Pow, pow.